Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel where we discuss all things narcissism, and this video is to explore more about the narcissistic injury. What exactly triggers a narcissistic injury, how narcissistic people can respond to a narcissistic injury, and your best approach to this. Now, when it comes to a narcissistic injury, this is usually a psychological trauma to the mind, to the emotions, to the expectations. Now, we can all suffer a psychological injury. We can all have that where somebody will intentionally go all out to offend us. We can all have that where somebody will intentionally raise our expectations and then fail to deliver on those. However, more often than not, with genuine people, they question themselves, they doubt themselves, they blame themselves, they work through it all internally. They might get to a point where there's enough of a build-up of a resentment, and due to the environment that they are in and things such as sleep deprivation, that they can react, and they can react badly. And this is what narcissistic people tend to rely on, your reactions, because then they perceive themselves to not be the issue. Because see, look at the state of you, look at how you're reacting. So it can be very confusing. However, with a narcissistic person, when they react badly to you, when they rage out at you, that's your fault. You made them do it. If it wasn't for you, they wouldn't have done that. Never happened. It's nothing to do with them. They gaslight you. When you react badly and out of character towards them, you'll often find that you feel bad, you feel guilty, you question yourself, you apologise to them, you try and make it up to them. You feel ashamed of your behaviour, you take responsibility, you no longer like the person you are around them. And when you no longer like the person you are around, when you're around somebody, it's a big sign that you need to step away from that person. You need to walk with people who bring the best out in you and walk away from those who bring the worst out within you, because we do all have a best side and a worst side. You have people who take responsibility for their behaviour, and then you have narcissistic people who just shift the blame onto everybody else. The psychologist Walter Cannon, in the 1920s, I think, he did some research and some studying on the survival responses, such as fight or flight, and these have been researched over many years and developed into fight, flight, freeze and fawn. So when we suffer an emotional trauma, we are all able to go into that fight mode where we fight back, where we try to humiliate them back, shame them back, lash out at them, rage out at them. Or that passive aggressive, where we might fall silent to try and recover our thoughts, gain a better perspective on the situation that we are in. When it comes to a narcissistic person, they will purposefully do something to trigger and to hurt you, to punish you. And then you naturally go into that survival mechanism. When it comes to you, you won't necessarily do anything to hurt them. It triggers one of their criteria, such as their sense of entitlement not being met. They're envious of another person. So they then go into that fight mode and attack you, and you haven't actually done anything wrong to deserve that. It's who they are as a person. Or we can go into that flight mode. We can run away from our problems. We can become obsessed in other areas of our life. We can begin hoarding. We can start just gaining those rituals of what we do to cope with the situation we are in. And these help us on a temporary basis for survival. On a long-term basis, you end up living in survival mode and it's of no benefit to you over the long term. It has negative impacts on your life. Again, with a narcissistic person, they're going to do something to trigger you. So they're going to go out to cheat on you, and then you leave them and they get offended that you left them. Yet you don't do anything to them as such, you just trigger a narcissistic injury. There, you said no to them, so they run away from you, they discard you. You can go into the freeze where you disassociate yourself away from the situation, or you become depressed and miserable, which a narcissistic person will play on this. They will turn around and claim that you're lazy, you're depressed, you're miserable, and is it as what they're saying is matching your reality, but you don't understand the underlying root cause. You question yourself and appreciate them for being there with you, and also justify their toxic behaviour because they're putting up with you being oh so depressed. A narcissistic person can sit there acting depressed. Again, it's when their sense of entitlement isn't met, when they're feeling envious of somebody else. It's not because somebody has done something to them, it's their perceived judgment of somebody else. We can fawn, we can people please to avoid upsetting another person, to avoid causing that narcissistic injury. We can people please a narcissist to avoid their attacks on us, to avoid them hurting us and punishing us. So we can become codependent and walk on eggshells to avoid them punishing us and hurting us. And that is the difference. They do something to hurt us, which conditions us and trains us to behave in a certain manner around them so that they no longer hurt us in that way. We can simply just go out to meet up with our friends, and this triggers a narcissistic injury, and they go all out to offer to do something. Oh, I had this special thing planned. We were going to go and do this, to get you to let your friends down and be there with the narcissist, which then you find yourself isolating yourself from people, and the narcissist has thus then isolated you from people covertly without you even realising it. So yes, narcissistic people, non-narcissistic people can all suffer from a narcissistic injury. It's what triggers that injury, and the responses to it can be similar. When it comes to a narcissist, you can just give them some constructive feedback, and that can trigger a narcissistic injury because they don't believe they should have to answer to you or take on board your advice. They're superior to you, they're grandiose, they're arrogant, they already know everything, so you can't tell them anything. Things are none of your business. So give them constructive feedback and they get offended and seek to attack you or fall silent on you or punish you in some way or not do something for you or sit there staring out of the window or at their phone and completely blank you. Again, we can all receive some criticism that isn't pleasant, that is criticism to mock us and humiliate us and shame us and put us down and blame us, and we can all be offended and shut down over it. When a boundary, when you turn around and say no to a narcissist, this questions their sense of entitlement, so they get offended and they seek to punish you in some way. They might start guilt tripping, they might start playing nice to get you to do something for them that you don't want to do. They can go around many manipulative methods because it triggered that narcissistic injury. Now, when somebody raises your expectations and tells you they will do something for you and then gets their need met and then fails to deliver on that promise and claims that they never said that, it's naturally going to offend you. When you try to hold a narcissistic person accountable on their behaviour, they don't want to take responsibility. To them, it wasn't their fault, it was somebody else's fault, somebody else's doing. So they'll lie, they'll deny, they'll deflect, they'll project, they'll fall silent, they'll discard you, they'll do all they can to avoid being held accountable to you because they feel entitled to do as they please. Now, when they call you out on something, or when someone calls you out on something, you usually try to explain and justify. Narcissistic people avoid this. they usually turn around and say, do we have to talk about this now? Why do you always have to start an argument? We were having such a good time and here you go again ruining things, because they turn it all around and attack you. When you talk about somebody in a positive light, they get offended by this. Now, narcissistic people will purposefully talk about somebody in a positive way towards you to strip you of your confidence when they know it's going to hurt you. So yes, we can all talk about somebody in a positive way and we can all potentially offend people. Narcissistic people do it purposefully to pull you down, to hurt you. When you're dealing with a narcissistic person, somebody's success triggers a narcissistic injury because they're envious of other people. They believe that somebody has taken it from them, that somebody else has had all of the luck, that they don't deserve it. So somebody else's success can trigger a narcissistic injury, and a narcissist feels offended and seeks to punish that person and take it away from that person. Most genuine people, yes, they can have those pangs of jealousy. However, they're usually pleased for the other person so long as the other person earned it, deserved it. When you see a manipulative person that cons people and lies to people and dupes people have some form of success, it's natural to think, hang on a minute, they don't deserve that after everything they've done to people. It's natural and it's a normal human response. You kind of want justice. When there's any form of indifference, it's hard when people don't want to listen to you, aren't interested in you. That's when you have to learn to just stop talking because they're not interested, they don't care. Narcissistic people are seeking that excessive attention. So they cannot get the attention from you. It hurts them. It causes that narcissistic injury. They might fall silent on you. They might start guilt tripping you. They might start pity playing with you. They might disappear on you. They're looking to gain that attention back onto themselves. When you have a different opinion, we can all have different opinions, and most genuine people are willing to look at another person's point of view. Narcissistic people aren't interested. They're interested in making you think like them. And if you're not going to think like them, they're going to lack the valid argument and they're going to turn around and start accusing you of all sorts because they've lost control over your mind. So they're going to try to influence what other people think about you. They're going to try and paint you out in a negative light so other people look poorly on you and they can play the victim and continue to gain the attention, because a lack of attention triggers that narcissistic injury. Now, when a narcissist suffers a narcissistic injury, they're going to look to get you back emotionally, physically, spiritually, psychologically, mentally, financially, sexually. They are going to attack back because this removes their feelings of shame. This removes their feelings of inadequacy. They're going to get you to defend and explain yourself to them. So they can feel like they're not the one with the issue. You're the one with the issue. And then with your explanations, they're going to find the loopholes to trip you up on something, to make out that you're the one that's the bad person. There's no winning with these kinds of people. When they're attacking you, the best thing you can do is stay silent and leave them to make a fool of themselves. Do not attack back. It's human nature to want to defend yourself and attack back. When dealing with a narcissist, it doesn't work because they're going to go all out to provoke a reaction from you so that they can lie about you, so that they can humiliate you. They're going to go all out to invalidate your point of view or find a way to intimidate you and shame you and blame you and gain flying monkeys and enablers to join in with their attacks on you. They might rage out at you. They might go into those passive aggressives where they fall silent and they sulk, or they get stubborn and forgetful. They begin to neglect you, or they jump on those false accusations to get you to answer to them, and then they gaslight your reality so that you don't know whether you're coming or going, and you feel like you're the one that's going crazy. You can't not trigger a narcissistic injury because you can simply just ask them if they've had a good day. and it can trigger a narcissistic injury because they don't believe you're entitled to that information on that day. Yet the next day, if you don't ask them, it can trigger that narcissistic injury because you don't care, because you didn't ask if they'd had a good day. We can all have those moments. We can all walk through the door and think, I just need 10 minutes. I really just need some time alone. No offence, I need some downtime. Narcissistic people lack the ability to communicate because they don't believe you're worthy of that communication. They believe they're superior and everything should just go their way. And when things aren't going their way, that's your fault or that's somebody else's fault, and you need to change who you are to serve them. When it comes to dealing with narcissistic people, the best way is don't go no contact. Leave them to it. Not always possible, in which case it needs to be rules to deal with narcissistic people, such as don't outsmart the narc, stand your ground, give them no emotional reaction, starve them of your supply to them, avoid them at all costs to protect yourself and to keep yourself safe. Because when you trigger a narcissistic injury, it can lead to narcissistic rage. And with those who lack empathy, you need to be careful around, because when they suffer a narcissistic injury and go into narcissistic rage, they're going to go all out to ruin you because they don't care about how that affects you. They're just looking to save face. They're looking to save their own skin. They're looking to feel better about themselves. It's not about justice with a narcissist. It's all about their internal dialogue, which has been with them a long time. If anyone has any thoughts on this video, please do add those into the comments. Thank you very much to all the returning subscribers, and your continued support with the channel is greatly appreciated. If you are new to the channel, I'm Elizabeth Shaw. This channel is all about narcissistic behaviour to give you more understanding of the people you might be dealing with within your life, how to handle yourself around those people if you cannot go no contact, and different methods to find what works for you to help you understand and overcome narcissistic and emotional abuse. If you do find the information helpful on the channel, please do subscribe. If you are looking for further help and support in understanding and overcoming narcissistic and emotional abuse, I do have several online guides available, and those teachable links are in the video description. If you're looking for someone to speak to, I have partnered with BetterHelp, and their sponsored link is also in the video description. Go out there and create the day that you deserve, because you do deserve to have an amazing day. Bye.